Let's Talk with Heather Dubrow starts now. Well, my guest today, she's just fabulous. They're giving her a very small intro on my sheet here. Creator and actress. That's all that's here. She's an icon. Are you kidding me?
I'll take it.
She is an icon. I've known her for a while. She's the most fabulous person. I have stories to tell and stories to listen to. She's got this new incredible book called Paper Doll, Notes from a Late Bloomer. Please welcome DYLAN Mulvaney.
Hi, Heather.
Hi.
I was trying to remember where I feel like
met?
you're such a fixture in my life at this point that where was the actual first meeting?
Well, we were Instagram friends.
Okay, deal.
Right.
And, which is how many friendships are made these days.
Funny. I find that through my podcast and through social media, the best things that I've gotten are lifelong friends that from all different places
Yes.
that I find like I'm so not just attracted to, but like in tune with.
Especially
and
after
love.
the pandemic, I feel like we had to figure out how to make friends in a different kind of way.
Yeah.
So I feel like we were connected through our friend Jamie, though. Jamie
Greenberg, friend of the show. She's been on many times. We love Jamie. Yeah, and then we had lunch.
Yeah, that was a cute lunch.
It was a great lunch.
And now I feel like I see you at the Kathy Hilton's
all
house.
the time.
I
loved your Kathy Hilton stories in the book, too.
Oh, my God.
It's so funny.
Well, she was like one of the first celebrities I ever met. And it was like of course, this icon, you know, I'm sitting in a valet and, you know, she's like, I would have sworn you were a cis woman, or, you know, she didn't say cis, but it was like just one of those like pinch me moments. And I've had so many of those in the last 3 years.
Do you get nervous? All right, because you have been with so many famous people and you've performed with so many famous. I mean, like, honestly, your IMDb is very impressive. Do you get starstruck still when you talk to people, or what kind of person would make you starstruck?
I still get a little nervous when I talk to Paris Hilton and she's a dear friend now, but like, you're like, what do I say right now to Paris Hilton? That like, and what I've actually found as a great way to get to know some of these like notable figures is like leading with like oversharing. I'll be like, oh my God, so this is who I'm hooking up with, and it kind of it throws them for a second because I think they're used to being praised for like, I love you, I love your work, or I'm obsessed, and this is kind of something different. It's a different way in because I'm opening myself up to them, and a lot of the times it works out. And I think there are still like there's some people I would love to meet. Dolly Parton still.
Oh yes.
Lady Gaga's now a good friend of mine, but I think that it's seeing them as a human being and not as a persona or a character, because I think so often we in the limelight are like seen as these characters, and I think sometimes people perceive me to be this like hyper feminine trans girl that like, you know, worked with a beer company and they pinpoint you to be like a few things,
right?
Where like I'm actually like the girl that spends most of the day in bed and I don't eat vegetables and I sleep until 1 and like that's what my story actually is.
Yeah, but that's okay. I mean, look at Kathy Hilton. Kathy's so funny. We were at an event in New York, right? And everyone's dressed to the nines at this event, whatever, and then we all go to the bar.
Yeah.
To hang out afterwards. So we're all hanging out in the bar and she comes downstairs. She's completely changed. She is wearing
like pajamas or something.
Yeah, I mean, like when I say casual, I mean
hair down.
I mean casual. And she's like, yeah, I'm going to go for a burger now. This is who I really am. And I'm like, I love that.
Well, and I'm now at the point where I don't even necessarily have to watch Housewives because I'm living Housewives with everyone. And if I can say anything, it's that it's 100% accurate. Like these, like the fact that I'm, you know, at Kathy's house in a circle of the Housewives and I'm like hearing the tea and being like, wait, this is actual real life. It makes it just that much more enjoyable to watch.
That's so funny. Well, you know who makes me nervous? Kris Jenner.
Oh, why?
I think because I met her years ago. So we had mutual friends, like these couples. And I remember being at Ellen and Tanya Thicke's house. And she was there with then Bruce. And we were just at this party together, hanging out, whatever, and had a lovely conversation with her. Obviously, years later, she's now this icon.
A gal. Yes.
She's like this thing. And so we have mutual friends, still different friends, but mutual friends. But I feel like every time I see her, when I get nervous, like you, I start oversharing, but I don't think it works as well for me, to be honest. And so I don't know, I feel not nervous around her, I feel awkward.
Right. And I think we're both people that like to fill the space. Like I will always be the first person to keep the conversation going.
Me too.
Well, that's what's tricky too. Like I'll go on a date or whatever and I'll be asking questions because the person won't be asking me. And then by the end, I'm like, well, they learned nothing about me and I know everything about their second cousin in Iowa.
But it's hard. That's who we are.
And you know what? That's okay. I like that about us.
I love that you're a theater kid.
Do you like musicals?
Yeah, maybe you don't know this about me. I started in musical theater.
Oh, thank God.
I was a musical theater major. I thought I was going to go to Broadway, ended up getting cast on this TV show, moved to LA. That's the short story. So, and then, worked as an actress and all that, and then this crazy reality thing. But, I have like this year in particular. So this year, as we were just talking about before we got on the air, it started out very rough.
Oh, honey, for I think most of us.
Yeah, and it hasn't changed.
We need a Broadway musical to fix everything.
Oh, we certainly do. So I have decided in the space of there's nothing to lose and I don't understand what the fuck is going on in the world these days, that I'm just going to do all the things that I've
always wanted.
Or just put aside for a while. I started taking voice lessons again. I'm going to do a tap class.
No way. I'll take a tap class with you.
You will?
I would. It's my least favorite dance. I talk about it actually in the book of Book of Mormon. I was doing that musical.
I saw that, but you practiced.
Oh, for years. Yes. Because I made it to the finals as a 17-year-old for that show. And then the last thing they were like, oh, we haven't seen Dylan tap yet. And I fucked it so bad. And
you can't fudge tapping.
No, you really can't.
There's a sound.
There's no room for error.
No.
And so I then spent the next 4 years, I learned that one dance and I was the best one in that room. But if you had asked me to do any other step, I couldn't have done it.
That is because you learned the routine.
Yes, so you're doing tap?
I'm going to do tap.
Lessons?
I'm putting you on my tap list now because we have I'll tell you offline who else is
in the tap group?
Yes, you'll like it. It's a good group.
I have tap shoes at my house. I'm not kidding.
I bought tap shoes. I donated them. I bought a pair last year because we did a little thing. And then they really weren't the right size, but it was just for a one-off thing.
Okay, and you if you haven't used something within a year, is it it's got to leave my house?
Okay, so here's the thing with me. So we had this very large house that we sold, and then we went into some rentals. And
I remember.
And now we're living in an apartment, which I'm obsessed with. I love apartment living.
Is this the one that I saw on that TV show? Okay, that was beautiful.
Yeah, it's great, right? So we bought a place in that building, and then we rented a place. So we have it's really stupid what we're doing. We go up and down the elevator. It's crazy, but
you don't have a lot of room for stuff.
There's room, but there's not like what I had.
Giant garages that you could just fill with stuff.
And you know what? I'm at a point in my life where I want to have less.
Totally.
Do you feel that way? Are you a purger?
I've got, people have sent me these PR packages and, people want me to post about it on TikTok. And I don't need that much skincare. So I will, it's best presents for my friends and for my family. And that's one of my favorite things is to put backpacks together for my aunts or my nieces. But I really think that minimal would be good. I do seem to be more of a maximalist, but I am.
Well, you're young. You have time. I used to be a maximalist too.
I'm trying to get a little place in London right now so that because America feels a little scary. So I have been looking at maybe downsizing in LA, getting somewhere over there. Do you ever go to London?
I do go to London, but I will tell you, I am a Paris girl.
Oh, okay. That's not far, honey. We'll take the train.
We'll take the channel. Max, my daughter, is studying there this semester. I'm actually going to visit her in a couple weeks. And I, like you, feel the same way. And I have been looking for a place in Paris. And I've been on Duolingo.
Oh, honey.
Every day.
If whatever happens, I'll see you on the channel. That's where we'll meet. We'll meet halfway.
But you decided London because you speak the language.
That, but also theater. I'm a theater girl.
Oh, right.
And no matter what happens, no matter where social media, if TikTok goes away, I can always perform on a stage. And do cabaret.
Are you going to bring your one-woman show to the States?
That is what we're working on right now.
Seriously?
So my book comes out in March, and then my podcast is going to be starting.
Okay.
And then that's the next plan is as I did a show in Edinburgh Fringe. Which have you been to Scotland?
No, I have not. I had to think about that.
It's so magic. Also, I go over seas, and then it's as if people like want to date me over there, which is different than America.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's culturally, I think we're living through a time right now in America where like, you know, transness is very polarizing. I think that it takes a very confident person, especially a confident straight man, to, you know, be with a trans woman. And I think that even when I'm over there, I feel less baggage. Like, I think other people can tell that I don't feel like this, you know, polarizing figure. And when I'm there, it's just, I'm a theater girl. And so that would be kind of my game plan would be to go do musicals on the West End.
Oh, I love that. I miss live theater and cabaret and all the things.
We need to find a good show. It's sometimes tough to find in LA to go see a musical together, but we'll find it.
Yeah. Oh, at the Pantages, sometimes they'll do
we could do something
decent things.
Don't you love the bad things in life? Of course not. You want all the good things. A little luxury, if you will. But just because you enjoy the nice things in life doesn't mean you can always afford them. Enter Quince, your new go-to for luxury essentials at affordable prices. Quince offers a range of high-quality items at prices within reach, like 100% Mongolian cashmere sweaters from $50, washable silk tops and dresses, organic cotton sweaters, and 14-karat gold jewelry. Let's talk about their 100% organic cotton fisherman cardigan. Oh my God, it's so cute. It's so fabulous. It's organic, it's soft, it's delicious, and you can really wear it all year round. You can layer it in the winter, drape it over your shoulders in the summer for when it gets cool outside or at night, and it goes well with everything, especially, you know, a high waist jean. The best part, all Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. By partnering directly with top factories, Quince cuts out the cost of the middleman and passes the savings on to you. And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes. So give yourself the luxury you deserve with Quince. Go to quince.com/Heather for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/Heather to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/Heather. Remember Bread, your old friend? All the fond, fluffy memories you used to have together? Well, with Hero Bread, you can focus on your health goals and still indulge in the soft, fluffy experience you love, guilt-free. Their baked goods are delicious and flavorful, but have ultra-low net carbs, 0 grams of sugar, and are high in fiber. This bread is so tasty and the texture is so fluffy, it's the kind of snack you dream about all day. Let's talk bagels. Hero's classic plain bagel has 4 grams of net carbs, 0 grams of sugar, and 19 grams of protein. Perfect if you love a breakfast sandwich. Maybe you love enchiladas or a buttery dinner roll. Hero has you covered there too. Whether you're trying to get more fiber in your diet, cutting down on sugar, or adding more protein, Hero Bread is here to save the day. Plus, Hero offers monthly small batch drops of indulgent favorites like the popular 2-gram net carb Hero Croissant and new surprises coming each month this year. So right now, Hero Bread is offering 10% off your order. Go to hero.co and use code Let's Talk at checkout. That's Let's Talk at HERO.co.
All right, so tell me about Paper Doll. Why did you decide? Why did you decide to write this book now?
I actually sold this book in the very beginning of my Days of Girlhood series because I've journaled my entire life.
Explain that a little bit for people that don't know.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Dylan. And I started this TikTok series called Days of Girlhood very accidentally because I was transitioning. You know, I was 25 years old. I was doing stand-up comedy in LA, and I think coming outs can be really awkward and sometimes cringe. And so I tried to make this comedy video that was like day one of being a girl. And it kind of, you know, ignited online, and it felt like this 50-50 shakeup of like half the comments being really supportive and then half of them being, you know, women who didn't necessarily support someone like me. And so then
the turf thing was interesting
to
me. I didn't know that.
I didn't know what that was either. And I think that was what was so crazy was I was learning all this trans terminology and the types of people that I was going to be dealing with as I was transitioning in the public eye. And in those first few videos were very much like trying to show people another side to me so that they didn't hate me. And then I was like, oh, these people are really taking to this. And I think it was helping a lot of people too. So I just kept doing it. I made, you know, so many videos. But during this, you know, these book publishers started coming to me, and I grew up reading like comedy, like Chelsea Handler type books and Amy Poehler, and I like an easy read. I'm not looking for anything too crazy, and I want to laugh. And so when they came to me, I was like, oh, of course I would love to do that, but it was going to be just journal entries for my first year of transition. And then as that year wound down, and then Beergate happened, which was a big thing over here, that I realized that there was more of a story to tell there. And so kind of the way that I healed through that experience was writing these essays that are in the book. And I think for right now, what's wild about the timing is I might have finished this book, over a year ago, but it's even more important now in 2025, because I think the way to fight the hate is through trans joy. And that's what I wanted to put into the book, because there's so many people out there that want to, strip me of my existence or want to even debate my existence. And I'm not interested in that. But what I am interested in is showing my joy, because that is a clear example that there is a great life to be had as a trans person. I have so much joy. I've got great family. I've got friends. I'm in relationships. And I think that that's their worst nightmare, because if I'm succeeding and if I'm thriving and I'm happy, that means what they're saying about someone like me isn't true. And so that's what this book is going through one of the hardest times that's ever happened in my life, something that I would have never imagined, and still finding the light at the end of the tunnel. And I think I'm in that light right now.
Oh, that makes me so happy. It makes me want to cry. I don't get political on my show, but I will tell you that I am just so over this persecution of the most marginalized group. And what is the truth? It's 1%, less than 1%
yes.
of our population is transgender.
Yes. And I'm very similar.
Why are you so scared?
Well, I think that what's wild is, like, I was never a political person. I'm a musical theater girl. I couldn't believe that my name was being said by congresspeople and politicians and presidents. And I really want people to know that nothing about my existence should be political. And I am a human being that just wants to be happy and to be loved just like anyone else. And if you can't see me for my womanhood, I think there's a lot of people that even watch like your show that might not know how to take someone like me in. But if they can at least approach the idea of me and who I am with a sense of like humanhood, I think that's a good start, because it's so easy to cast, villains. I even think about Wicked. Like, did you see Wicked? Mm-hmm. Obsessed.
Of course.
So on Wicked, like the wizard talks about how there needs to be a common enemy, in that he makes the animals out to be this enemy, even though they really didn't do anything wrong. But it unites people. It brings people together.
Right.
And I feel like, and not to like compare transness to like Wicked, but in a way, that's my way in, is like, they want to make someone the enemy, and so they chose us right now. And what I'm trying to remember is that, like, I remember when gay marriage wasn't legal, right?
I was just about to say, it reminds me of being gay 35 years ago.
Yes, but even just, 15, I growing up as a gay kid, I didn't think I could get married. And watching, people even in my own life and at church talking about how this was horrible and that this couldn't happen. And now it's hard to imagine our lives that without it, or that was ever the case.
But that's why you're so important, honestly. It's because I've told this story before, but I have a friend who is gay, and he's very, very successful.
Yep.
But in high school, he didn't have any framework to know what gay was.
Right.
And so he had decided he was going to take his own life by the time he was graduating, because he couldn't live like that anymore. And now he's married, has kids, successful, very happy, all the things. But it just shows me that without, examples in the world, how does anyone know that it's a possibility? Like for you in your book, you talk about you thought you were just gay, and then you thought you were non-binary, or you were trying that on.
I think it's that we don't always have the vocabulary.
That's what I'm saying. How would you know?
Truly, I think maybe the only reference points to transgenderism that I knew about was like, a sex worker on Law and Order. And so it's there was no way in for me as a 4-year-old when I went to my mom and said, I am a girl. to know that was an option other than that is how I saw myself and how I felt. And
it's biology.
Yeah, it really is. Like, I wish, for anyone who can't understand what I'm going through or how I see myself, I just wish for 1 second they could just transport just for a moment. We say, slip into my shoes. No, baby, slip into this.
My skin.
Yes. And I really feel like would have a very different tune to sing if they got to experience that.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, like, we have this one life, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have this one crazy life. And the point is to be happy.
Right.
And so we all do for ourselves and hopefully our families and our special friends, whatever it takes to make yourself happy, to honor and love your loved ones and all the things. It still makes me insane. And I know what you're saying about the common enemy, and I think you're 100% right, but it still makes me insane. It's not affecting anyone's life for someone else to be who they are. So why is it so scary to them? Because it's different? Because you don't understand it?
Yes. And I think it is. It's like it's having to change the way that we see something. And I think a lot about, like, someone like you, how allyship right now is so important.
Yeah.
And especially from other women. And I think about the Kathy Hiltons and the people that have welcomed me into their homes and invited me to their events. I think that right now these extremists also want to make someone like you scared to support someone like me.
Oh, I know.
Because that means that if they've blocked out our allies and they've tried to make you feel judged.
You're isolated.
And well, oh my gosh, like, for a second, you played my mom in my music video.
I know.
And
I was going to talk about that.
Oh, it makes me emotional. Not every woman in this town would do that for me, and you were my first call, first of all. But I think that we're in a time where I feel guilty sometimes asking for allyship, because I don't want to be a nuisance to someone, especially someone that I look up to.
Oh my gosh, just so you know, and I'll get emotional, but when you called me, I figured, to be honest with you, I was probably like your fourth or fifth call.
Not first call. Thank you.
I thought I'd be your fourth or fifth call, and you told me that. But I'm going to tell you what I saw on the set of your music video, because I want everyone to really understand what kind of woman, what kind of human, what kind of person you are. So I get to this set, and all I know is Dylan has asked me to play her mom in her music video. Just show up. We have clothes, we have hair and makeup, and I'm a very controlling person.
Right.
And I was like, sure, whatever, no problem. Do I need to bring anything? Nope. Just show up. I'm like, okay. So I show up, and I mean, within moments, the beautiful energy and everything that you are comes running, and oh my God, I'm so glad you're here, and da da da. And here's our fabulous makeup people from the Euphoria set, and
we went all out.
Oh, and the clothes and the things. It was the most marvelous day. I had the most fabulous time.
Okay.
I got to hang out with Gigi Gorgeous.
Yes.
Who is incredible. I got to play the funniest character. I loved all of it, but I'm going to tell you the best part. First of all, I felt like your momager a little bit. Like, I was, talk about feeling the role. I mean, I was just watching you dance and sing and do all the things, and I was just swelling with pride.
Thank you.
But here's the best moment for me. I am sitting there getting my makeup done, and there were trans gals there. Mm-hmm. There were cisgender gals, all different kinds of gals there. And you went up to each and every girl and talked to them. And you were so invested in, like, so what are you wearing? And you said to each woman, how do you feel in this outfit? I have never heard that before, ever. And it changed me. I mean, honestly, and I pulled that in, saw it, appreciated it so much that now it's become part of, like, who I am and what I do. It was amazing. Your love of other people and your pride in what you do and how talented you are, all of it was amazing.
Thank you. I think that I'm so now hyper aware, because a lot of times people aren't asking me about those things. There's things as a trans person that, like, I don't necessarily feel comfortable wearing, but sometimes I'm not asked those questions. So I now when I'm in a place of power, or if it's my project, I want to make sure that everyone's being taken care of.
Well, I love that. And all women feel that way. Listen, I've had cellulite since I was was like 20. Like, I hate it. And bathing suit things and whatever.
It can be tricky.
Yeah. No one ever asks those questions.
But I really, and what's so crazy about that song even too was that, you know, it was after Beergate. I wanted to find like a fun way to get back into, you know, girlhood and earnestness and just silliness. And there was nothing like serious about that song.
Right.
And the way that people took it and just like hammered it and it was tricky for me to kind of understand too, because I was like, is this transphobia? Did I actually, you know, do something wrong? And then when I looked at it the lens of like, okay, if Katy Perry had released this song, nobody would have had a problem with it. They might have said it was a bad song.
And it wasn't a bad song. It's a great song. It was stuck in my head for days.
It really gets in there. It's Giving Friday by Rebecca Black. It's Friday, Friday. Like that. I was not trying to be the Beatles when I wrote Days of Girlhood.
No, but it's supposed to be a fun pop summer, put the top down in the car, drive around.
And that's what's interesting. I don't know if trans people are allowed to make that music right now, because the way that, you know, people were talking about it was as if like I had written this horrible, you know, crazy manifesto. And I really, I think that's what's interesting about any project that I do, whether it was my videos or the book or the play that I wrote. It's always because I have to do it. Like there's something in me that's like, this needs to happen. I have to get this out there. And that was the same thing with that song. I was like, I need to do this song. And I think that what it did show was that like trans people right now are kind of looked at under a microscope that isn't fair. And it's being scrutinized in a way that if you compared us to our cis counterparts would not be a problem.
Right.
And it's so interesting because I think there's many people that say I'm being too feminine. There's others that say I'm not being feminine.
Well, you're
enough.
never going to please everyone.
No. And so I give up. I've got a lot of people who love me. I feel gorgeous. I feel really successful and happy. And so there's now no winning with these people, no matter what surgery I get, or it's never going to be enough. So I might as well do it the way that I feel the happiest.
Which is the exact way to do it. Because if you start worrying about, if you start trying to figure out, and you touched on this a little bit with Beergate, and even when you started the Days of Girlhood series, you know, you talk about, I can't please everyone. And then if I try to apologize to these people, now the people that are supporting me feel this way. I'm curious, you know, I feel for me in my life that I was given I have 4 different kids, like different genders, different sexualities, all the things. I got a whole rainbow over there. And I'm so proud of all of them. But I was never a kid who was like desperate to be a parent or like, you know, I wanted to be on Broadway and do all those things. And I got to do a lot of things, maybe not everything, but I believe I was given these 4 kids for a reason. And I know that my kids are lucky because they have, you know, supportive family, they have resources, but I know a lot of kids don't. And that's why I try to be an advocate and because I want to help kids that don't have all that. Do you feel like you've been thrust into this role as well? Or
I feel, well, it's so funny, like some people started commenting mother on my Instagram post, and I was like, wait, are they calling me old? Like, I didn't know what that meant.
No.
It's a good thing.
Yes.
And then in the book, I write about, I went and did ayahuasca, and this like Mother Aya was like, you are here to like provide maternal energy. And I think that's very intimidating and also really scary for a trans person because, you know, they say that we are indoctrinating their children when really it's like we're living our lives. And maybe if your kid sees someone who's living authentically and is like, oh, I want to be like that person one day. A lot of my followers are not trans, but they still see a part of themselves that they want and they want to tap into or relate to.
Well, of course. I mean, I don't just follow, you know, 50-year-old Jewish white women. I follow all kinds of people.
And then I will say too, like, knowing you, I've learned so much about my womanhood through the women who have helped me show me the way. And I think that if women aren't willing to help trans people and or, you know, whatever gender you might be, with a little bit of love and a little bit of grace, I think how are we supposed to get there and figure it out? And I think that's why we need allies so desperately right now. And I think that was a big part. You know, you're surrounded by a wild group of women a lot in your life.
You think?
Yeah, and I've had to realize, like, I'm not going to be every girl's cup of tea.
Right.
And that's okay. We're theater girls.
Well, we're champagne.
Yeah, honey, I'll take it. And sometimes I'm a beer.
Yeah.
But I also...
Not always.
Not always. But I do think that, like, it's going from, I was the gay best friend, and I worshipped women, and they loved me in a very different capacity, to now having friendships with other women and growing with that. It's been so much richer, but also way more complicated.
Yeah.
And in comparing ourselves, and I think I just wish there was a little bit more grace when it came to women's friendships with women, and not tearing each other down. And
well, that's true across all women. I mean, it's funny. My mom was like a very 1950s, like jealous, like who did they know? Who's her? And that was instilled in me for a long time. And I had to really deprogram myself from that. But I know I've done a good job because my kids are not like that.
Good.
And I do feel like this younger generation is better.
I love Gen Z.
Yeah.
I'm on the cusp. And they are so
Wait, are
cool.
my kids Gen Z, like 21?
Yeah. Oh, very much, yeah.
Gen Z.
Yes.
I think I'm Gen X. They keep my kids call me boomer, and I'm like, I am not a boomer. Your father is a boomer. I am Gen X.
Okay. I only know millennial and Gen Z. I'm on the cusp of those. And the fact that, like, Gen Z has even, like, taken to me is so cool and crazy, because I'm very, like, cringe online. I make, like, stupid jokes. But
you're authentic, and this is the whole point. If you are authentically you, and this is the whole thing, back to not pandering to what the comments say, when you're authentically you, your community is solid.
Right.
And they love you and they follow you.
Totally. And that, even in this industry, I think I've found the people who feel authentic, and those are the people that I want to surround myself with.
Let's Talk is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Whether you love true crime or comedies, celebrity interviews, news, or even motivational speakers, you call the shots on what's in your podcast queue, right? And guess what? Now you can call the shots on your auto insurance too. Enter the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. The Name Your Price tool puts you in charge of your auto insurance by working just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, then they'll show you a variety of coverages that fit within your budget, giving you options. Now that's something you want to press play on all day. It's easy to start a quote, and you'll be able to choose the best option for you fast. It's just one of the many ways you can save with Progressive Insurance. Quote today at Progressive.com to try the Name Your Price tool for yourself and join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Companies and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Apartments.com believes a dishwasher does more than just clean plates. It turns your whole place into a time machine by turning the time you would have spent washing dishes into extra time for you. That could mean more time to read, more time to knit, or more time to contemplate the vastness of time itself. With Apartments.com, finding somewhere to live with an elusive dishwashing/time expanding device is easy. Apartments.com hosts the most rental listings with over 1 million available units. And with comprehensive search tools and instant alerts, you'll never have to worry about missing out on the perfect place. To find whatever you're searching for and more, visit Apartments.com, the place to find a place. I want to ask you this.
Yeah.
So, as a cisgender female, the number one worst question to ask someone is, do you know what I'm going to say?
No.
Are you pregnant?
Interesting.
You cannot ask a woman
Yes.
if they are pregnant, because that means...
that you're judging their body.
Yes. Great. It means they're large or a different body shape than you, or something you feel is like a pregnant-looking body.
1,000%.
You cannot ever ask a person that. Is there a question like that for
Have you
trans
had the
women?
surgery? Yeah. Have you had your bottom surgery? What's going on downstairs? What I think is alarming is the amount of people who felt comfortable to ask my parents about that. Because I think it's like, how gross to like try to not only exploit your friend's kid's body, but to like ask so openly. And I think that's where part of me is very now kind of nervous to talk about things online and overshares, because some people they don't deserve to know certain things.
Right.
And I do think that I never want to set a precedent online that just because I talked about something means that you can ask other trans people. So I've always led with like, this is my story. This is my journey. I'm not speaking on behalf of anyone else.
Right.
And I really think that like, I love sharing. Like, I love talking about certain things. I love unpacking what I've gone through, what's happening with my body. But just because of what we're living through right now, if there's a chance that what I say is going to reflect poorly on the rest of the community, I'm a lot more controlled if I'm going to say something.
Yeah, I mean, I think sharing is fantastic. I have diarrhea of the mouth often. And also, you share a lot. Gigi and Nats share a lot in their fertility
She was
journey.
like OG YouTuber.
Oh, yeah.
And so getting to know her and what you realize too is like transness in media, it's very exploitative and it's very much like, ooh, let's follow this person until they get these things and then we throw them out and we find the new one.
Right.
And getting to know Gigi like and how she's kept her life going and content in her career, super inspiring. And what I've realized is that like now so much of my content doesn't have to do with transness, but and maybe less people are watching, but it's the right people because sometimes the other people there, the millions and millions, weren't there for the right reasons. But the people in Edinburgh in my 250-seat theater,
they're there for the right reasons.
They're there for the right reasons.
But I also have to say, you know, for me, I think you should be allowed to share the things you want. Just because you're a public person doesn't mean you have to share everything.
No.
You can hold things. I mean, I'll tell you, the only thing that bothers me with people is when they say things like this. Like, if I know someone's had a facelift, like, when I say I know, I mean, I know.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. Like, I know that a facelift has been done. And they go out in the world and someone says, oh, you look so youthful. And they go, the secret is water and a good rest. And I'm like, and a scalpel.
Honey.
Like, it's okay. You don't have to tell, but don't give people false hope.
And that's where I think with transness too, like I want people to know I am the most privileged version of trans. I had the guy who does Beyonce did my makeup this morning. So I never...
It looks great, by the way.
Thank you so much. Hi, Armando.
Hi, Armando. I did my own.
Yeah, that's what's wild about you.
But
you're
a
so
theater
good.
kid. You can do makeup?
I can do it pretty well, but if I'm potentially going to be on Housewives, I'm gonna turn it
Fair
out
enough. Fair enough.
for the moms.
I appreciate it.
But I really think that what I have experienced is like a 1 in a billion situation, you know? And I think I find it to be very aspirational, but I also don't want people to think that this is the
norm.
The norm of the only way. There's so many ways, different timelines. I mean, I'm still trying to get rid of the damn facial hair, girl.
Well, yeah, I know. You really, but why? I was still
think God
confused
blessed
why
me
you
with
went.
A lot of things. I have, a size.
Well, God doesn't give it both
women's 9
hands.
or 8.5 shoe. I've got a size 0 dress. But my God, did He give me a lot of facial hair?
But why did you decide to go with electrolysis over the laser?
The electrolysis, I believe, is the only thing that's permanent. Like, I think it comes back to some extent, but much less than the laser hair removal.
I don't know. That laser hair removal for me, because I'm a hairy person as well.
Did it do you good?
Oh my gosh, it's insane.
I got my whole body.
Yeah, me too.
Amazing. But
nothing.
There's something about the hormones in our faces that is like, it's pesky and it's tricky.
Yeah.
But I was like, if that's the thing that I am
if that's
be
my cross to bear,
working on, I'm okay with it.
Okay, so that was the question you don't want people to ask. But what do you wish people asked you?
Oh, well, honestly, like us jumping in this conversation about theater, like what do you love outside of your transness?
Yes.
Like, and that's for me is theater. It's laying in bed with mac and cheese. It's like getting to talk about all the things and the reasons that we relate to each other outside of my body. And I also think like if in relationship to transness, like I think somebody, what brings you joy in your transness is a great question to ask. And for me, I think that's my friendships with other women. It's looking in the mirror and like feeling actually beautiful for the first time and always being shocked that like I am now living to my full extent. But I think it's when you get into you need to make sure you're on really good terms with, a trans person before you are approaching body conversations and all of that, because it doesn't feel good.
No. Well, I wouldn't want someone to be asking me questions like that either.
Yes. And so, but when girl talk is girl talk. And so there are I love, having a little.
Yeah, but girls don't typically sit around and talk about their vaginas. It's not a thing.
I don't think so.
No.
Okay. Good to know. Thank you. See,
unless there's a problem.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Can you look at this?
Yeah. People don't really even go there. It's more like, who's your doctor?
What's going on?
You ever had this happen? Yeah.
But I think that a lot of people also are always very interested in my dating life, because they want to know what that looks like. And
do you like talking about dating?
Or
is that a private thing?
Yeah, it's tricky because I don't want to. Especially being a trans person in the public eye. There's a level of ooh, does this person want to, be seen with me, or are they comfortable me talking about certain things? So I had this Dylan Does Dating series on TikTok for a while, and I would always usually have it be if I knew something was done, and I waited about a month, then I was okay, let's talk about this. Or even oh my God, there was a guy, I made out with a guy in Edinburgh, and then we went. I was supposed to go on a 20-minute date with him in Amsterdam on a layover, and he stood me up. and I gave it about a month. I had made the video, and I was I can't wait to post this. And then I did, and so I always like a little breathing room when it comes to dating.
Yeah. But, you're not like Taylor Swift writing the song right after. And
no. Well, I'll write the song, but I won't release it.
Okay, good.
And I think but it is really important right now that to be seen that trans people can find love, and that we I very much have a really fun dating life, and I do protect that, because I don't want my partners or anyone to feel like they are going to be put on blast. But I really want people to know that someone like me can find love and be happy in that way.
And like I said before, and I see this with my kids and their friends, this next generation, they're so much more fluid. They're so accepting. They're so nonplussed. And it's exactly how it should be.
I know. It's also funny because I'm super attracted to much, much older people. I love a daddy. And then because I'm 28, and these it's the 25-year-olds that want to date me. I'm no, I want the 45-year-old.
Yeah.
So, but it just goes to show the younger generation is so much more open-minded.
Yeah, which I love.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. Hopefully that.
I mean. Tell me about music. So you did.
Oh my God!
All right. So you did Days of Girlhood. You have your one-woman show that you're going to bring here, and
and that has original music in it.
I love that.
Mostly comedy songs. I did one with Ingrid Michaelson, who's one of my favorite singers. But I don't think I'm going to be releasing a full album anytime.
No,
that really, honey, I felt
that
like
hurt.
I was a kicked horse at that point, because it was when you put yourself out, every day that we show up and we try to put ourselves out there, and people don't love that. So I think the next time I would go to do music, it would be something very different, and I think it's theatrical. But I also think maybe this song, it's kind of giving Paris Hilton's Stars Are Blind, where it has a resurgence. So maybe
look at Heidi Montag,
honey.
Come on.
That's what I'm saying. So, we might be sitting here 15 years from now, and it might be at the top of the charts. We never know.
I do believe in timing. I'm being totally serious. And you are so talented.
Thank you.
And I think that song is fantastic. I wouldn't keep saying it. I really think it's fantastic. But things do have a time and a place, and maybe now you're meant to do more of the cabaret and more of Broadway, and then that segues into back to pop. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. I really, I think theater is I've now gotten to try all these different things. I think it's the most healing. It's also it's real life. I'm seeing people in a theater. It's so different than sitting in your room, scrolling through comments. Mm-hmm. And it's so helpful to know, sure, you don't make a lot of money doing it.
It's not about theater's never about the money. Theater is about, it sounds so obnoxious, it's about the craft. But the truth is, being on stage, there is enough, and for any theater kid or anyone that performs like that, there is nothing like being on stage.
Oh, it's so good.
It's the best.
It's so good.
It's the thrill of
What's your favorite musical?
God, I don't know if I have a favorite musical right now. I mean, all I'm thinking of is Wicked, because we were just talking about that. I do love Wicked, but I love so many shows. I mean, my first show, very similar, I think, to an experience you had, was Annie.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I went to see Annie, and I really thought, because my parents had been joking with me, but I really thought that they were going to put the lights up and be like, she can't go on. Who knows the part?
You were ready.
I was ready, and I was very, very disappointed when the lights went down and she was there.
I know.
Shelley Bruce. I was like,
bitch.
Really? Shelley? Wow. Okay. I was totally ready.
Where's Shelley now?
Not here. Where is Shelley now?
Shelley?
Hello? Hello? I'm sure she's doing something fabulous, but you understand my point.
Yes.
No, there's nothing like before. All right, so then what's next for you? You've done everything. You're huge on TikTok. Were you worried when TikTok was about to go away?
I made the most embarrassing goodbye video.
I saw your goodbye video. It was not as bad as some, I will tell you.
Well, did you see the people admitting to things that
yes!
they then were back the next day like,
I'm like,
hey,
dumbass.
I didn't do one of those. I actually didn't. I was like, wait, I don't think I've lied to anyone on this app. Like, I was like, I don't have any video to post about that. But there was part of me that was kind of freeing, because I was like, well, I've now spent these last 3 years trying to convince people that I'm not just a TikToker, and now I can't be a TikToker if there's no TikTok. But I also think what was so problematic about it was that, like, that's one of the only places for people to find transness or queerness, or, like, just the way that there were so many young people that were able to get their information, their news, to see people like themselves. So that was hard, and I'm glad that there's maybe a chance to get it back now. But ultimately, I think like the majority of the rest of my life, I'd like to harness that audience, keep it going in the ways that it feels right. But I want to go do all the other things, and I think it's through writing more books. It's oh my God, I performed on a gay cruise last week.
I saw that. I loved that. How was that?
It was the best time of my entire fucking life.
Of course it was. You know how many friends I had? I remember when I graduated college, I was supposed to go to New York, but I ended up going to Miami to do this TV show and then out to LA. But there were a lot of kids from our musical theater department at Syracuse that went on the cruise ships.
Gay men are amazing, turns out. And I'm in the middle of I got a call 3 days before I left. And they're like, could you headline? And I didn't have a show built. I didn't have,
They called you 3 days before the cruise to headline the cruise?
Yes.
You had 3 days to prepare?
Yes.
Costumes, music, everything?
I had 6 costume changes, 4 backup dancers from the cast of Mamma Mia that was already on board. I mean, we turned this out.
Did they have a show ready for you that you plucked into,
no,
or you had to create?
I wrote the show in 2 days.
Stop. Well, thank God you do stand up.
We put. I found a song called "From Death Becomes Her," which you would love. It's
I haven't seen it yet. Yeah,
it's called "For the Gays."
Okay,
and I messaged the music composer, and that is what's nice about having some Broadway Connect still. And I was like, please give me the sheet music, because I didn't have any sheet music for anything either. And there was an orchestra that was going to be on board playing this shit.
Love this.
And it was called "For the Gays." And it was like, forgive me if I'm an ingenue, beveling before you, begging for your praise. I love the gays. And it was like, hundreds of gay men in this theater, and I'm rocking back and forth while I'm singing Sondheim on this boat.
Because because you're on a boat.
It was just like, that might be the next book, because if I think we should all be living our lives like we are gay men on a gay cruise, because they were having a lot of fun and nobody was worried about what was happening on the land of America.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, but what was interesting too was being there as a woman, because I thought I was.
Was it all gay men?
Yes. I think I was one of maybe 2 women on board, 3 that were actually attending the cruise, and 5,500 gay men. And I walk on, I thought I was going to be bombarded with selfies. No, they didn't even see me. I was a ghost walking the halls of the Queen Elizabeth. I'm telling you, and it was the best compliment I could have gotten, because they were there to find love, and they were there for a good time.
Or for tonight.
And I think that I was like, oh wow, no one wants me that way. And that was actually very affirming.
I love that.
It was really fun.
All right. So you've done all these things. What's next?
Okay. Next is is going to bring the one-woman show over. I would really love to do sort of like a Mary Tyler Moore type TV show where I play like a heightened version of myself eventually, with little musical elements within. You know, I bring back a good musical on TV.
I mean, like a Tracy Ullman show you could do.
Yes,
right.
And I think back to like. Oh God, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend was this show that ran for a couple years, and it had these really fun, insane musical numbers. Or did you ever watch Smash or Glee?
Yeah, of course.
Oh my God, Glee,
obsessed. The best always.
I think that like getting my story out maybe in a different capacity. I think scripted would be really fun to get to show scenarios, because sometimes I think some people have a hard time connecting with someone that's different than them, because it feels too real and it's too tangible. But if it's through a character, it's a little bit more of like this is a hypothetical of what life could be. So I think it's great for people to see trans people on TV and in movies.
I agree. Let me ask you this. I just saw someone talking about this, and I'm curious your take on it. Someone was saying, and this goes for anything, can only gay people play gay characters? Can only trans people play trans characters? Because I feel like,
yes.
Like, is there a point where it's not acting?
Well, I think we're at a time where there's so few trans characters on TV and in film that it would be a real disservice not to have an actual trans person playing a role. And I think it says something that's like, oh, we're scared to have a trans person. You know, we don't want to give in. It's almost easier for them to do it that way. And I think if we got to a place in the world where transness was so accepted that, like, sure, there's a ton of characters and all sorts of different stories to tell, I might be a little bit more open to having different people but
don't you feel like you could play a non-trans woman?
Hopefully. Yeah. And that's what I think is also so frustrating, is like auditioning for things is like when I get an audition, I immediately have to be like, oh, is this something that they're even open to, me playing? Or a lot of the times it's specifically just a trans person.
Right.
So I think we have a long way to go, but that's why I urge sort of the people that are behind the scenes that make the decisions to show us, because that is what's going to help fix a lot of the mess that is going on.
We need modeling.
Yes.
We need modeling.
Honey.
Okay, I'm going to rope you into something, hopefully. Okay, so I know you've worked with the Trevor Project before.
Love.
All right, so I became aware of the Trevor Project a few years ago through my daughter, Kat.
Yes.
She came home one day and she was like, Mom, I need you to donate money to the Trevor Project. I'm like, okay, yeah, great. And I'm like, what is it? And then when I found out what it was, and so for people that don't know, the Trevor Project, a boy named Trevor took his life, and they started this crisis hotline center. And so this gal, James Black, who used to be the head of Family Equality, is now the head of the Trevor Project. Do you know James?
I have not met James, but we know of each other.
She's amazing. I love her.
Yes.
Anywho, I've been talking with her a bunch, and apparently their call center in recent times, in the last month, have gone up 700%.
Yep.
And this is kids in crisis. And, we always talk about, like, what can we all agree on? Well, we all agree that our kids in crisis need help.
Yes.
Right? And so I want to help them and give them some more visibility. And I want to honor their workers, their frontline
I love them.
workers. So I'm putting together a little event. I would love to have you be a part of it in any way.
I always, that's one of, the organizations that I immediately go to when I want to do something like this. When is this?
I don't know yet.
Okay, let's do it together.
But I will let you know, because, it's so crazy to me. And James was telling me that, she used to work at Schwab, and they have this software that, I can only think of like a medical term, that triages calls, you know, so they get the people in most crisis up to the front of the line.
Right.
And Trevor Project needs that money.
Oh, yeah, 1,000%. Well, and what they're doing is incredible. And what I will say to the people that are, claiming to say protect our children, I'm like, honey, these are our kids that are so scared right now and are potentially going to take their own lives if they don't get the love and support that they need.
Yeah, and a lot of these kids aren't getting it from home.
Correct.
Or counselors.
It's not, that statement is not true the way that they are enacting the scenarios. So
Yeah, and they're losing funding potentially.
Yes.
So it's really
scary as hell.
It's scary.
I know.
It's scary.
But don't you feel, I have this like new sense of community that I almost didn't feel before 2025, where I knew I had so much support, but like it felt very broad. And now like I'm like looking to the actual people in my life and being like, I've got you, and you're saying you've got me, and it feels different. Like
it does feel different.
It means something more at this time. And that's what I feel safe walking through the streets, because I know someone like you has my back, and I know I've got yours.
Yeah, it's like foxhole time. But I'm so proud of you, honestly, and I'm so happy for all of your success.
Thank you.
And what you're putting out in the world is pure light.
Thank you.
And you should know that as your other mother,
Do you
as
have
your
any
pretend
advice
TV mother.
for me as I go through this next chapter of my life and navigating this industry and everything? What would you say?
I would tell you to stay authentic and true to yourself, because when you do that, you can't lose. Be bold. Mm-hmm. Go for the things you want. Don't worry so much.
Okay.
And the biggest thing is don't worry about the timeline. Because I remember being in my 20s and you do that mind fuck thing to yourself where you're like, well, if I don't have that TV show by the time I'm 29, I'm just done. Because if I'm 30 and I don't have this,
what was the best year of your life?
There's been many best years.
You can only pick one.
Well, then I feel bad because it was before. I mean, I need two. Because I need one before kids.
Okay,
and
give me the before and the after.
Okay, there was like a lot, but one year in particular was when I was on That's Life. I was starring in this TV show, this hour-long dramedy. I never thought I would do an hour-long with Paul Sorvino and Ellen Burstyn and Debbie Meiser. All these crazy people. It was critically acclaimed. And I got up at 3:30 in the morning every day, skipping set to work.
Yes.
Could not have been happier. Would work 15 hours a day. Loved every second of it. And then I would say after my kids, it's funny. We had 3 by in vitro, and then the last one was a surprise. And so when that happened, when I had these 4 kids, and I went from someone, again, who never like dreamed, I thought I'd have a family, but I never really like dreamed of how many kids, and we started late, and we had unexplained infertility and like all the things, to then end up with 4 children. I remember very vividly, and this isn't really a year thing, but this is a moment that encapsulates that period of time. I remember going out with our friends, our couple of friends, and Ace was, 4 months old, something. And he was staying in didn't have a room for him. He was in my office off our bedroom. And we had gone out with our friends. We'd been drinking, whatever. Mm-hmm. And at like 2:30 in the morning, I heard something, and I was like, oh, what is that? And I kept hearing it, and then I realized it was a baby crying, and I was like, "Oh, that's for me." And I remember going into the office, and he was in his little crib, and I picked him up, and I made a little bottle, and I remember just rocking him and just being so happy that I felt so complete with this very complete life, and all these lovely children that I never knew I was going to have, in this beautiful marriage, and these really nice friends. And just this like great life. I just really happy.
Wow. Okay, well, I'm hoping that I get some of that, and to having more really good years.
Yes. And you have to come to my birthday party. We'll talk about that.
Oh my God. Yes. Deal. Yes. That's
done.
Soon.
I love you. Thank you so much for being here. Tell everyone how to find you on TikTok
and
DYLAN
whatnot. Mulvaney. My book is out March 11th, Paper Doll. And I love you, and stay strong, and I love you. Okay, bye.